The Emperor studied her. "Your species is young, yet you defeated an empire that has conquered for 1,000 years. Which means you know you can't win," Bennett replied. Hours later, on the Nighthawk's bridge, Captain Reeves received the news. The Draknar had surrendered. Emperor Vorax had agreed to return all conquered territories and accept limitations on their military capacity. The war was over. 6 months later, representatives from Earth, the Xorian Federation, and the reformed Draknar Empire met to establish a galactic council. Other species, hearing of Earth's role in ending the Draknar threat, sent observers. As Commander Bennett watched the proceedings, Ambassador Garrett leaned toward her. "They called for help, never expecting an answer," the ambassador said. "Now the galaxy knows. When Earth answers, everything changes." 1 month after Earth's forces arrived in Xorian space, Admiral Dawson stood before the combined fleet. 13 Earth vessels had been joined by 32 Xorian ships, all upgraded with human weapons technology. They orbited the last Xorian colony world, preparing for their most ambitious mission yet. "The intelligence we've gathered leaves us with one clear option," Dawson told the assembled commanders. "We must strike at the heart of the Draknar Empire, their homeworld." The Xorian officers looked at each other in disbelief. Such an attack had never been considered possible before. "The Draknar have ruled through fear," Captain Reeves added. "No one has ever brought the fight to their doorstep. The psychological impact alone will be devastating." Defense Minister Vorthal shook his head. "Their homeworld defenses will be unlike anything we've faced. Which is why we'll use a multi-phase approach," Dawson explained. The holographic display showed the Draknar home system. "First, we disable their early warning network. Then we target their planetary shield generators. Finally, a ground team disables their central command." The crews prepared for battle. Throughout the Earth ships, officers gave final briefings. On the Nighthawk's bridge, Captain Reeves addressed his team. "Today we fight not just for Earth or for the Xorians, but for the right of all species to exist without fear," he said. "The Draknar sought to harvest the galaxy. Instead, they awakened its defenders." The combined fleet jumped to light speed. Hours later, they emerged at the edge of the Draknar home system. A massive planet with 3 moons lay ahead, surrounded by defense platforms and hundreds of warships. "Begin Phase 1. Admiral Dawson ordered. 3 Earth vessels, including the UES Phantom, used their stealth technology to approach the early warning stations. They struck quickly, destroying the Draknar's ability to track incoming ships. Phase 1 complete, Lieutenant Powell reported from the Phantom, moving to support position. The main fleet moved forward. The Draknar ships rushed to intercept them, but they were expecting a conventional attack. Instead, the Earth-Xorian fleet split into smaller groups, attacking from multiple vectors. "They're trying to regroup," Martinez observed from her tactical station. "Don't give them time," Reeves ordered. All ships pressed the attack. The space around the Draknar homeworld erupted in the largest battle the galaxy had ever seen. Earth's ships moved with precision, targeting key vessels and creating openings for their Xorian allies. On the Nighthawk, Chief Engineer Walsh monitored the ship's experimental warp core. "Captain, I might have a way to disable their planetary shields," he said over the comm. "If we reconfigure our warp core to create a localized pulse, it could temporarily disrupt their shield generators." "What's the catch?" Reeves asked. "We'd have to get close, very close, to their main generator, and the pulse would disable our engines for several minutes." Reeves considered this. "How close?" "Low orbit, right over their capital city." "Do it." The Nighthawk broke through the fighting, diving toward the planet's surface. Enemy fire concentrated on them as they descended. "Shields at 42%, Martinez reported as the ship shook. "Stay on course," Reeves ordered. They reached position directly above the Draknar capital. Massive energy beams from the surface struck the ship repeatedly. "Now, Walsh," Reeves shouted. The engineer activated the modified warp core. A wave of energy burst from the Nighthawk, spreading across the planet below. The Draknar shields flickered and failed. "Shields down," Bennett reported, "but our engines are offline. All ships, commence ground deployment," Admiral Dawson ordered from his command vessel. Lieutenant Cooper led the ground assault team to the surface. They fought their way through the Draknar capital to the central command building. There, they faced the most elite Draknar guards, protecting Emperor Vorax himself. As the battle raged outside, Commander Bennett entered the Emperor's chamber with a small security team. The Draknar leader stood waiting, tall and imposing. "You are either brave or foolish to come here," Vorax said. "I bring terms from President Wright," Bennett replied. "Surrender now, end this war, and your people will be spared." Vorax laughed. "You would show mercy. After all we've done." "That's what separates us," Bennett said. "We fight when necessary, but we prefer peace." 3 days after the attack on the Draknar station, the Shadow Fleet prepared for another strike. This time, they would target a major supply depot that fed the Draknar's frontline forces. But the enemy had learned from their first encounter with Earth's ships. The UES Relentless, commanded by Captain Heather Morris, led the advance team. As they approached the depot, sensors detected no unusual activity. "Seems quiet," Morris said, studying the tactical display. "Almost too quiet." Her caution was justified. As the Relentless moved closer, 20 Draknar ships suddenly appeared from behind a nearby moon. They had been waiting in ambush. "It's a trap," Morris shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." The Relentless turned hard, but it was too late. Enemy fire converged on the Earth ship from all directions. Its shields held initially, but began to fail under the concentrated assault. "Send emergency signal to the fleet," Morris ordered. "We need backup now." The Nighthawk received the distress call while en route to its assigned position. "Relentless is under heavy attack," Patterson reported. "Multiple Draknar ships." Captain Reeves immediately changed course. "All available ships redirect to these coordinates. Maximum speed." The Nighthawk arrived 15 minutes later with 4 other Earth vessels. They found the Relentless drifting, its hull breached in multiple places. 3 Draknar ships had attached to it with docking tubes. "They're boarding them," Bennett realized. "Martinez, target those boarding ships," Reeves ordered. "Prepare a rescue team. We're getting our people out." Lieutenant Commander Martinez led the rescue operation herself. She and 20 Marines boarded the Relentless through its emergency airlocks. They encountered heavy resistance inside. The Draknar were not just fighting. They were capturing crew members. "They're taking prisoners," Martinez reported over the comlink. "Heading to the bridge now." She fought her way through the ship's corridors. The Draknar soldiers were tough opponents, but Earth's Marines had better training and equipment. Finally, Martinez reached the bridge, but she was too late. Captain Morris and several officers had already been taken. "Captain Reeves, this is Martinez. The bridge crew is gone. The Draknar took them." Back on the Nighthawk, Reeves made a difficult decision. "Get everyone else off that ship. We're not leaving our people in enemy hands. Prepare a tracking team." Using data from the Relentless's sensors, they determined which Draknar ship had taken the prisoners. As the Earth fleet engaged the remaining enemy vessels, a small stealth craft followed the Draknar ship that escaped with the captives. 2 days later, Captain Reeves stood in the Nighthawk's briefing room with a small team of volunteers. "The tracking device shows our people were taken to this facility," he said, pointing to a holographic display of a Draknar base built into an asteroid. "It appears to be a research station." "Research?" Bennett asked. "Why take prisoners to a research station?" Dr. Phillips spoke up. "Based on Emperor Vorax's orders, they want to study humans. Our biology, our technology. Then we need to get our people out quickly," Reeves said, "before they can learn anything useful." The rescue mission was high risk. Reeves led a team of 12 in 2 small stealth shuttles. Using the stolen Draknar codes from their previous mission, They bypassed the outer security and docked at a maintenance airlock. Inside the facility, they moved quietly through service corridors. Bennett used a scanner to locate human life signs. "This way," she whispered, pointing down a dark hallway. They found the prison section, but what they saw there stopped them cold. Captain Morris and her crew were in transparent cells, connected to strange machines. In neighboring cells were dozens of Thorian prisoners, many showing signs of surgical procedures. "What are they doing to them?" Bennett asked in horror. Dr. Phillips examined a nearby computer terminal. "Genetic analysis. Tissue sampling." His face paled. "They're not just studying us. They're harvesting genetic material for some kind of enhancement program." Reeves set his jaw. "Get our people out. All of them. And download everything from their computer systems." While half the team freed the prisoners, Bennett and Phillips copied the research data. What they found disturbed them deeply. "Captain," Phillips said, "the Draknar aren't just conquering for territory. They're searching for specific genetic traits across multiple species. They're trying to improve themselves somehow." Reeves nodded grimly. "Get everything. Admiral Dawson needs to see this." They escaped with all the human prisoners and as many Xorians as they could carry. The mission was a success, but it revealed a disturbing truth about their enemy. The Draknar War wasn't just about conquest. It was about evolution. The UES Nighthawk slipped through space like a shadow. Behind it, 4 other Earth vessels followed in tight formation. Their black hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it, making them nearly invisible against the darkness. They approached a massive Draknar military station that orbited a barren moon. On the Nighthawk's bridge, Captain Reeves studied the tactical display. The station was a hub for Draknar fleet operations, coordinating attacks across 3 sectors of Thorian space. "Any sign they've detected us?" Reeves asked. Lieutenant Commander Martinez shook her head. "No, sir. Stealth systems operating at full capacity. They have no idea we're here." Reeves nodded. "Just as planned. All ships, maintain radio silence. Prepare to fire on my mark." The Earth ships moved into position. Each targeted a different section of the station. "Weapons ready, sir," Martins reported. Reeves took a deep breath. "Fire." 5 Earth ships fired simultaneously. Beams of concentrated energy sliced through the station's outer defenses. Before the Draknar could respond, a second volley hit their shield generators. "They're scrambling fighters," Martins announced. 30 small craft launching. "UES Valiant and UES Defiant, handle those fighters," Reeves ordered. "The rest of us will continue targeting the station's critical systems." The battle unfolded with brutal efficiency. Earth's ships moved with a coordination the Draknar had never encountered, striking key systems, then repositioning before return fire could lock onto them. On a smaller vessel, the UES Phantom, Lieutenant Eric Powell piloted through the chaos. His mission was separate from the main attack. While the Draknar focused on the other ships, Powell guided the Phantom past the station toward a communication relay. "I'm in position," Powell reported over a secure channel, beginning data extraction. The Phantom, designed for stealth and intelligence gathering, attached to the relay and began downloading the Draknar communications network. "Sir," Communications Officer Patterson called out on the Nighthawk's bridge. "Lieutenant Powell is sending data from the Draknar network. I'm picking up strange transmissions." "What kind of transmissions?" Reeves asked, even as he directed the ongoing attack. Patterson's face paled as she listened. "They're discussing something called Project Eclipse. It sounds like." "Sir, I think it's a planet-killer weapon." Reeves' expression hardened. "Download everything you can. Martinez, target their command center. I want that station disabled now." The battle intensified. A Draknar cruiser appeared at the edge of the system, responding to the station's distress call. It opened fire on the UES Valiant, catching the Earth ship with a powerful energy beam. The Valiant's shields flared and partly collapsed. "Valiant is hit," Martinez reported. Shields at 47%. Tell them to pull back, Reeves ordered. UES Intrepid, cover their retreat. In the command center of the Draknar station, chaos reigned. Gray-skinned officers with sharp features scrambled to respond to the unexpected attack. Their commander, a tall figure with cold eyes, demanded answers. "Who are they? Where did they come from?" he shouted. "Unknown, Emperor Vorax," an officer replied. "They appear to be a new species. Their technology is beyond our current capabilities." Emperor Vorax of the Draconar Empire had personally come to oversee the final push against the Xorians. Now he watched as unknown ships tore through his forces with ease. "Send a priority message to all fleets," he ordered. "I want specimens of these creatures captured. Their technology must be studied." Back on the Nighthawk, Powell's mission was complete. "Data extraction finished, Captain. Returning to formation." "Good work, Lieutenant," Reeves replied. "All ships, prepare to jump on my mark." The Earth vessels regrouped, the damaged Valiant protected by its companions. With a final barrage to cover their escape, they jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving behind a crippled station and confused enemy. Hours later, in the Nighthawk's conference room, the senior officers reviewed the battle footage. 7 Draknar ships destroyed, and their main command station crippled. Admiral Dawson summarized. "Minimal damage to our fleet. By any measure, a successful operation. And we gained valuable intelligence," Bennett added, reviewing the stolen data. "This confirms Dr. Phillips' findings. The Draknar are artificially engineered for conquest, and this Project Eclipse appears to be a superweapon capable of destroying entire planets." Captain Reeves looked around the table. "The Draknar now know they face a serious threat. Their next move will be to analyze our capabilities and develop countermeasures, which means our next strike must come quickly," Admiral Dawson said, "before they can adapt." The Ethorian Council chamber was a large circular room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars above. 17 seats ringed the room, but only 5 were filled. The empty chairs stood as silent reminders of the systems lost to the Draknar. Ambassador Nicole Garrett led the Earth delegation. At 45, she had decades of diplomatic experience, though never with aliens. Captain Reeves, Commander Bennett, and Admiral Dawson, who had arrived on a faster scout ship, stood beside her. Elder Tivera, the head of the Xorian Council, rose from her seat. Her blue skin had a silvery sheen, and her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she spoke. For generations, the Xorian Federation has sought peaceful relations with all species. Then the Draknar came. They showed no interest in talk, only conquest. We were unprepared for war. She paused. We still are. But you humans, you are different. Ambassador Garrett stepped forward. Earth wishes to form an alliance with the Xorian Federation. We offer our military assistance against the Draknar threat. Defense Minister Vorthal leaned forward in his seat. Your ships destroyed 7 Draknar vessels in minutes. How is this possible when our best weapons barely damage their shields? Admiral Dawson answered, Our weapons technology developed along different lines than yours. Sometimes a fresh approach can overcome established defenses. Science Officer Mevlin, a thin Xorian with pale blue skin, asked, Would you share this technology with us? That's part of what we're here to discuss. Garrett replied diplomatically. The meeting continued for hours. Earth offered military support in exchange for cultural exchange and trade rights. The Xorians, desperate for help, agreed to almost everything. Later, in a private room, Captain Reeves met with the Earth and Xorian military leaders to discuss strategy. Holographic displays showed the current positions of Draknar forces across Xorian space. You've been fighting defensively, Reeves observed, studying the map, always reacting to their attacks. Vorthal nodded. We lack the numbers for offensive operations. Reeves pointed to several points on the map. These are their supply lines. If we hit them here, here, and here, we can cut off their forward forces. The Xorian commanders looked shocked. That would take us deep into enemy-controlled space, one objected. Exactly, Reeves said. They won't expect it. Admiral Dawson nodded his approval. The Shadow Fleet was designed for stealth operations. We can get in, hit hard, and get out before they know what happened. Meanwhile, in the science wing, Commander Bennett worked with Dr. Kevin Phillips, the mission's xenobiologist. They studied tissue samples from Draknar casualties. Their genetic structure is fascinating, Phillips said, looking through a microscope. Humanoid, but with significant differences from both humans and saurians. Bennett pointed to a display showing brain scans. Look at the enlarged aggression centers. Is that natural? Phillips shook his head. No. It appears their aggressive tendencies have been artificially enhanced. Genetic engineering, most likely. You're saying someone designed them to be violent? Bennett asked. It's a possibility, Phillips replied. I need more data. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Walsh collaborated with Saurian scientists. They crowded around a table where components from human and Saurian weapons lay side by side. Your energy modulators are completely different from ours, a Saurian engineer said, examining a human device. Walsh nodded. We can combine them. Your power cells with our targeting systems. It could double the effectiveness of our remaining ships, the Saurian agreed. In the combat training area, Lieutenant Commander Martinez worked with Saurian fighters, teaching them Earth combat tactics. You fight with too much caution, she told them, demonstrating a more aggressive stance. The Draknar expect you to retreat. Surprise them. A young Saurian soldier tried the new stance. Our training teaches us to preserve life whenever possible. Admirable, Martine said, but sometimes the fastest way to peace is through decisive action. That evening, the Earth leaders met in Captain Reeves' quarters on the Nighthawk. The Saurians are pacifists at heart, Garrett observed. Even after years of war, they think defensively. Reeves looked out the viewport at the damaged Saurian world below. They called for help because they were losing that way. We'll show them how to win. Admiral Dawson's expression was grim. The Draknar will respond to our intervention. Their next attack will be bigger. Let them come, Reeves said. Earth's deadliest fleet is ready. The journey took 18 days. 18 days of traveling through unknown space using experimental technology. The Shadow Fleet emerged at the edge of the Saurian star system, slowing to sublight speed. The bridge crew of the UES Nighthawk stared at their view screens in silence. Before them lay a graveyard of ships. Hundreds of destroyed vessels drifted in the emptiness, some still burning despite the vacuum of space. Beyond the wreckage, a small blue-green planet orbited its star. Even from this distance, they could see flashes of light on its surface, the signs of ongoing battle. My God, whispered Bennett. Captain Reeves stood from his command chair. Patterson broadcast on all frequencies. Use the translation algorithm we developed from their message. Communications Officer Patterson nodded. Ready. Sir. This is Captain Daniel Reeves of the Earth vessel UES Nighthawk. We received your distress call. We are here to help. They waited. Seconds ticked by. Sir, Patterson said suddenly, I'm getting a response. Audio only. Put it through, Reeves ordered. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in a strange language that the ship's computers immediately began to translate. The voice sounded disbelieving, almost shocked. Earth vessel, you are real. You actually came. We had lost all hope. We're real, Reeves confirmed. And we brought friends. 13 ships. There was a pause. 13 ships cannot stand against the Draknar fleet. But we welcome your assistance. Our colony on Taurus IV is under attack. Many civilians are trapped there. Reeves looked at his tactical display. Send us the coordinates. Lieutenant Commander Martinez studied the incoming data. Sir, sensors showed 27 enemy vessels bombarding the planet. They're targeting civilian centers. Reeves' jaw tightened. All ships, combat formation. Martinez, prepare all weapons systems. We're going in hot. The Shadow Fleet moved toward the planet, their black hulls making them nearly invisible against the darkness of space. Only as they approached the Draknar ships did the enemy detect them. They're changing formation, Martins reported, moving to engage us. They're curious, Reeves said. Let's show them what Earth can do. Target their lead ship. Full weapons barrage. The Nighthawk fired. Beams of energy lanced out, cutting through the enemy ship's shields like they weren't there. The vessel exploded in a ball of blue fire. All ships, engage at will, Reeves ordered. Focus on protecting the colony. The battle was quick and one-sided. The Drakenar, caught by surprise, had never encountered Earth's weapons technology. 7 enemy ships were destroyed in the first 3 minutes. The rest retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed and vanishing. Take us into orbit, Reeves ordered. Prepare landing parties to evacuate civilians. 2 hours later, Bennett stood on the surface of an alien world. The air was breathable but smelled of smoke and chemicals. Around her, blue-skinned Xorians stared at the human rescue teams with 4 eyes wide in wonder. A taller Xorian approached her. His clothing marked him as an official of some kind. I am Defense Minister Vorthal, he said through the translation device. You are human. Bennett nodded. Commander Olivia Bennett of Earth. The alien studied her face. You look so much like them. Like the Draknar. Bennett was surprised. The Draknar look like humans. Yes, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, similar facial structure. But their skin is gray, and they are taller. We feared you might be related species. We aren't, Bennett assured him. We came to help. Vorthal gestured to the devastation around them. For 6 years, we have fought. For 6 years, we have lost. We sent that message as a last hope, never truly believing anyone would answer. Well, we did, Bennett said. Yes, the alien nodded. And you destroyed 7 Draknar warships in minutes. Ships we could not defeat with our entire fleet. He looked up at the sky where the Shadow Fleet orbited. What kind of warriors are you? Before Bennett could answer, Captain Reeves approached. Minister Vorthal, I'm Captain Daniel Reeves. The Xorian Council has requested a meeting. They want to discuss an alliance. Vorthal bowed slightly. Of course, they are eager to meet the species that accomplish what we thought impossible. As they headed toward the transport ship, Bennett saw the way the Xorians looked at them, with hope, but also with fear. They had called for help and Earth had answered with overwhelming force. The question now was, what would that mean for both their species? The lunar base hummed with activity. Hidden beneath the moon's surface, the massive underground hangar held Earth's most closely guarded secret, the Shadow Fleet. 13 sleek warships, their black hulls absorbing the light, waited in docking bays. For decades they had remained here, unseen by the public, preparing for a day many thought would never come. Captain Daniel Reeves stood on the observation deck, watching as crews prepared the ships for launch. At 42, Reeves had earned a reputation as a tactical genius, though his methods had often put him at odds with military leadership. His tall frame and the scar that ran from his left temple to his jaw gave him an intimidating presence. Captain Reeves, a voice called from behind him. He turned to see Commander Olivia Bennett approaching. Commander, he nodded. I hear you're the one who found our new alien friends. I found their message, Bennett corrected. Admiral Dawson says you're leading the mission. Reeves turned back to the viewport. The UES Nighthawk will serve as our flagship. She's the most advanced vessel humans have ever built. Below them, the largest ship in the fleet sat in its dock. Unlike traditional spacecraft, the Nighthawk had an elongated predatory shape with angular wings that housed its weapon systems. I've selected my senior crew, Reeves continued. You'll serve as my second-in-command for the duration of the mission. Bennett's surprise showed on her face. Sir, I'm a signals intelligence officer, not a combat specialist. You understood their message when no one else could, Reeves said simply. I need that skill. A technician approached them with a tablet. "Captain, crew assignments are complete. All personnel will board within 6 hours." Reeves nodded, and the technician left. "Come with me, Commander. Meet your new colleagues." They took an elevator down to the main hangar. The Nighthawk loomed above them, nearly 600 meters of advanced technology. Workers swarmed around it, loading supplies and running final system checks. "Lieutenant Commander Sofia Martinez," Reeves said, introducing a woman with intense eyes who was inspecting a weapons panel. "Our tactical weapons specialist." Martinez shook Bennett's hand firmly. "I hear you're the one who got us this mission." "That wasn't my intention," Bennett admitted. "Intentions rarely matter in war," Martins replied. "Only results." They moved on to where a stocky man with graying hair directed a team working on the ship's engines. "Chief Engineer Gregory Walsh," Reeves said, "the only person who truly understands how these ships work." Walsh looked up from his work. "So you're Bennett. Don't worry, the warp drives will get us there in one piece." "Probably." "Probably?" Bennett asked. Walsh shrugged. "These ships can theoretically travel faster than anything humans have ever built. We've tested them within our solar system, but never for a journey of 47 light-years." "Comforting," Bennett muttered. Their final stop was at a communication station where a young woman with bright red hair worked on a complex array of equipment. "Communications Officer Lisa Patterson," Reeves introduced. "She'll be working with you on alien translations." Patterson smiled warmly. "I've been studying your initial analysis of the Xorian message. Brilliant work, Commander." "Thanks," Bennett said. "But we still have a lot to learn about their language." "That's why we're bringing linguistics AI and adaptive translation software," Patterson explained. "It should help us communicate more effectively once we reach them." 6 hours later, the crews had boarded all 13 ships. The massive lunar hangar doors slid open, revealing the star-filled blackness of space. On the bridge of the Nighthawk, Captain Reeves sat in the command chair. Bennett took her position at his right. "All ships report ready for departure, Captain," Patterson announced. Reeves activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Captain Reeves. Today we embark on the most important mission in human history. We travel not just as representatives of Earth, but as its defenders." The Xorians called for help, never truly believing anyone would answer. "We will show them, and the galaxy, exactly what humanity is capable of." He nodded to his pilot. "Take us out, Lieutenant." The Shadow Fleet rose from the lunar surface, 13 deadly warships moving in perfect formation. As they cleared the moon, they accelerated, preparing for the jump that would take them farther than any humans had gone before. On Earth, President Wright watched the fleet's departure from the Oval Office. "Godspeed," she whispered as the ships vanished into the darkness of space. President Eleanor Wright rubbed her tired eyes. The White House Situation Room was filled with her top advisors, all summoned in the middle of the night. On the large screen, the alien signal patterns flashed in steady pulses. "Let me understand this correctly," the president said. "An alien civilization is asking for our help." Dr. Alan Mercer, the chief science advisor, nodded. "Yes, Madam President. The translation is still rough, but the message describes a war. Their civilization is losing badly to something they call the Draconar Empire. And they're reaching out to us. Why? How would they even know about Earth?" asked Defense Secretary William Harris. Dr. Mercer adjusted his glasses. "The message mentions ancient records of Earth. They describe humans as resourceful warriors. It seems they're desperate enough to try anything." The room fell silent. Admiral Dawson cleared his throat. "Madam President, there's something else you should know." He glanced around at the others. "This falls under ultra-black classification." The president's eyebrows rose. Ultra-black was beyond top secret, known only to a handful of people. "You're cleared to speak, Admiral," she said. Admiral Dawson stood up. "For the past 70 years, we've been developing what we call the Shadow Fleet. 13 experimental warships built using technology reverse-engineered from the Roswell crash. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Most of the cabinet had no idea such a program existed. These ships represent Earth's most advanced military capabilities, Dawson continued. They've never been deployed in actual combat, but they're fully operational. The president's face remained calm, though her mind raced. Where are these ships now? Hidden on the far side of the moon. Madam President, they can be ready to launch within 72 hours. General Joseph Carter of the Air Force leaned forward. With all due respect, are we seriously considering sending our military to fight someone else's war 47 light-years away? Secretary of State Patricia Nelson spoke up. This could be first contact with an alien civilization. The diplomatic implications are enormous. Or it could be a trap, said Harris, luring us to reveal our capabilities. Commander Bennett, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The message contains detailed information about their enemy's forces. The Xorians, that's what they call themselves, have already lost half their territory. Their message doesn't just ask for help. It warns that if the Draknar finish conquering them, they'll likely keep expanding. Earth could eventually be in their path. President Wright stood up and walked around the table. The question before us is simple but profound. Do we answer this call? General Carter shook his head. We should focus on Earth's defenses, not charge into an unknown conflict. If we wait until they reach our solar system, it might be too late, countered Admiral Dawson. Dr. Mercer added, this is also an unprecedented scientific opportunity, contact with two advanced alien civilizations. The debate continued for hours. As dawn broke over Washington, D.C., President Wright raised her hand for silence. I've made my decision, she said. We will answer the call. She turned to Admiral Dawson. Activate the Shadow Fleet. Prepare them for departure. The Admiral nodded. Yes, Madam President. Commander Bennett, the President continued. You discovered this signal. I want you involved in the mission. Thank you, Madam President, Bennett replied, surprised but determined. This is the most significant decision any president has ever made, Wright said, looking at each person in the room. We're about to announce our presence to the galaxy, not as observers, but as defenders of those who cannot defend themselves. She paused. Humanity is stepping onto the galactic stage. Let's make sure we're remembered for doing what's right. As the meeting ended, Commander Bennett approached Admiral Dawson. Sir, who will lead the Shadow Fleet? She asked. Dawson's expression was grim. Captain Daniel Reeves commands our flagship, the UES Nighthawk. I'm placing him in charge of the mission. Daniel Reeves. Bennett's eyes widened. The same Captain Reeves who? Yes, Dawson interrupted. His tactical skills are unmatched, despite his complicated history. If anyone can lead us against an alien empire, it's him. Bennett nodded slowly. Earth's entry into galactic warfare would be led by its most brilliant and most controversial military commander. The Xorian ship shuddered as another blast hit its shields. Red emergency lights flashed across the command bridge. Ambassador Kethrael gripped the edge of the console to stay upright. His four eyes blinked rapidly as he watched the display showing the Draknar warships closing in. Damage report, he demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. Shields at 28%, said the officer to his right, her blue skin pale with fear. We cannot withstand another direct hit. Kethrael nodded. 6 years of war had taught him what to expect. The Xorian Federation, once a peaceful alliance of 17 species across 32 star systems, now clung to survival. The Draknar Empire had appeared without warning, their massive black ships destroying everything in their path. Jump to emergency coordinates, Kethrael ordered. The ship lurched as it tore through space, leaving the battle behind. They had escaped. For now. 3 hours later, safely hidden in the magnetic storms of an uncharted nebula, Kethrael met with what remained of the Xorian High Council. 5 leaders sat around the table, representing the last free worlds of their federation. "We have lost contact with the Bilari system," said Council Elder Tivera, her voice trembling. "That makes 16 systems fallen to the Draknar. Our military forces are down to 30% capacity," added Defense Minister Vorthal. The stocky, gray-skinned military leader looked exhausted. "At current rates, we have perhaps 8 months before total defeat." Silence filled the room. Kethral walked to the view screen showing the swirling gases of the nebula outside. Their situation was hopeless unless— "There may be one option we haven't considered," he said quietly. All eyes turned to him. The ancient archives mentioned a world called Earth. Its people were said to be resourceful warriors. Elder Tivera shook her head. "Those are just stories from the early exploration days. There's no proof this Earth even exists." "Actually," said Science Officer Mevlin, "we did detect unusual transmissions from that sector about 80 years ago. Primitive communications, but definitely artificial. I can give you the coordinates." Defense Minister Vorthal laughed bitterly. "And what good would primitives be against the Draknar?" Kethral turned to face them. The archives spoke of humans being unusually adaptive, dangerously creative in battle. "It's worth trying. We have nothing to lose," Elder Tivera admitted. The decision was made. The Exorians would send a message to Earth, though none truly believed anyone would answer. On Earth, Commander Olivia Bennett stifled a yawn as she stared at her computer screen. Working late again at the United Space Command headquarters in Nevada had become her normal routine. At 36, the Navy officer had dedicated her life to monitoring deep space signals. It was usually quiet work. Until tonight. The alert came at 2:18 a.m. An unusual signal pattern, definitely artificial, originating from a star system 47 light-years away. Bennett sat up straight, her fatigue forgotten as she ran the standard analysis protocols. "This can't be right," she whispered to the empty room. The signal had a structure unlike anything in their database. It appeared to be a deliberate message, containing complex mathematical sequences followed by what might be language patterns. The computer gave it a 99.7% probability of extraterrestrial origin. Bennett's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her phone. "Sir, this is Commander Bennett. I need to speak with Admiral Dawson immediately." "Yes, I understand what time it is. This cannot wait until morning." Within 30 minutes, Admiral Frank Dawson arrived, his silver hair uncombed and his uniform hastily put on. He studied the signal data with narrowed eyes. "You're certain about this?" Bennett nodded. "Yes, sir. It's definitely not natural and not from any of our satellites or space missions." Dawson's weathered face grew serious. "Get me the president on the line. Then contact the Joint Chiefs. Tell them to get to the White House ASAP." He looked at the signal patterns again and shook his head. "Looks like we're not alone after all." In the White House Situation Room, President Eleanor Wright listened as Commander Bennett explained the signal's characteristics. "And what does this message say, Commander?" the President asked. Bennett hesitated. "We're still decoding it, Madam President, but the initial translation suggests it's a distress call. Someone out there is asking for our help."